very much like your best friend, domestic partner, charitable trust or political cause, local meetup group, to get some of your assets when you pass. Many, many people want people other than who the state says will get your assets to get your assets. If you die without a will or a trust, none of these people will inherit anything from you. Children through marriage? No. They only count through blood. Only blood relations. Many people today have family by choice. They have people that they've chosen to be their family as well as their blood relations, and in many times, those people are just as important to them. And so if that's you, you definitely need to write a will. And it doesn't have to be a huge, scary thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, if you want any of your money to go to any of these things, pets too, by the way. Yeah. Okay, this is my favorite slide. Okay, ready? Quiz. Currently, your cryptocurrency inheritance plan relies on a friend who knows your password. Nope. Okay. Your family remembering what you've told them about
Well,
Bitcoin.
no one should raise their hand to any of these because it's giving away their backup strategies.
The goal is that after the presentation, this won't be real.
Okay.
Like you'll move away from this. So most people. So I did a poll on Twitter to find out how people are planning. And unfortunately for all of us, 55% of the 1,000 people who responded are banking on the immortality plan, which is you never dying, okay? Yeah, right? Yes, that's me. Okay, but just in case, how many of you have a detailed, documented, tested plan? Yes? Awesome. That is fantastic. You guys are in the 0.0001%. And so on behalf of your family, thank you. So a lot of people are resistant to planning, but planning actually puts you in control. And if you're into Bitcoin, chances are you want to be in control of your money. That's probably part of what brought you into Bitcoin. And so planning puts you in control. If you don't plan, you lose control because the state decides what happens to your assets. So let's talk about some common misconceptions, some common mistaken beliefs. So first, number one, I have to hire a lawyer. Everybody seems to think that you have to hire a lawyer in order to do inheritance planning. You do not. You do not have to hire a lawyer in order to do inheritance planning, at least for crypto assets, okay? There are two components to any crypto asset plan. The first part is access, or a technical plan. How, from a logistics key management point of view, is your family going to access those assets, okay? That is absolutely important. Then, the legal side, okay? So, if the idea of that you have to hire a lawyer is stopping you from doing the technical asset side, throw that away. There's no excuse. You can go home tonight and do a technical access plan that will help your family. Now, that said, at some point, unless you are a lawyer or a super legal nerd, you will probably want to hire a lawyer to help you not only figure out what the state says will happen to your assets versus what you actually want to have happen, but also kind of help you with planning for taxes or other sorts of things. So you can hire a lawyer, and I actually talk about that a lot in the book. I talk about how to hire a lawyer and how to find one. I also talk about how to fire lawyers, which you can imagine is wildly popular with my colleagues. Yeah, not so much. But it's stuff that you need to know. If you've never hired a lawyer, it can be a daunting thing. I also talk about how lawyers are actually there to help you. You are the client. You control things, even though a lot of them don't want you to think that you do. So if you're not getting good outcomes, you should move away and find a new lawyer who will actually give you the outcomes that you want. Because there are a lot of people who are actually interested in making sure that you're happy. Number two, I'll have to trust a third party. So a lot of people think that inheritance planning means you take your private keys and you give them to a third party. No, you do not have to do that. You should not do that. That is a terrible idea. Inheritance planning does not mean that you're trusting a third party with your keys, with your key material, with all of your information. So there are a lot of different strategies that you can do to kind of divide up trust. You can use multi-sig, you can use Shamirs, you can use, there's lots of different options that you can use, and more are coming. as we start to implement Schnorr signatures, we're going to have even more options, which are going to be so awesome. But for now, you can do multi-sig. You have a number of different options. You don't actually have to trust a third party. Third mistaken belief is that doing this is going to increase your risk of theft. Meaning that if I write down all my passwords and all my things, someone is going to break into my house and find my treasure map and steal my treasure. That's what people tend to think. I'm not advocating that you take a single sheet of paper and write down all of your info. You don't have to do that. You wouldn't do that. That would be a foolish thing to do. That said, if you do want your heirs to be able to access your assets, you will have to leave some sort of trail for them. Value is too low to plan. How many of you were in Bitcoin a year ago? Okay, very good. So I don't need to talk about that for you. Because you saw the value go, right? You saw the value skyrocket. When prices started to go up, what was it, like in April? I remember being in April, I was speaking at a conference in Norway, and we were celebrating the all-time high of $12.50. And we were like, whoo, $12.50, $1,250, wow, this is amazing, right? And like, because we'd reached like the peak. And then it just like kept going up and up and up and up and up. And as the value started going up and up, people started reaching out to us more and more, panicked sometimes, because they would be like, oh yeah, my crypto used to be worth 25% of my overall assets, and now it's worth 85% of my net worth, and like, what am I going to do? So don't think that the value that you have is too low to plan. We don't know how the market is going to react, but if you have it, you're an early adopter. Like if you're here, especially if you're sitting here tonight, like why not have somebody benefit from your foresight? I think all of those things are actually excuses. I think the real reason that we don't do estate planning is because of denial and fear. I think we don't want to face our own mortality. We don't want to think about like not being around. And it's kind of uncomfortable, and we don't want to deal with it. So listen, there's so much better stuff you could do, right? So many other ways to spend your time than doing estate planning. How many of you look at this picture and see a duck? How many of you see a bunny? How many of you see a duck and a bunny? Okay. Duck bill. Like this. The sound effect is bonus. Okay. And then the bunny, these are his ears, right? And this is his mouth. You see it now? The reason that this slide is in here is because I think that it's important to recognize that there are many ways that you can look at a situation. You can see a duck, you can see a bunny, you can see a duck bunny, right? Things can suck and be good or okay at the same time. So I'm going to give you a couple alternative ways to think about estate planning if that denial and fear is what's stopping you from doing that. First off, you can think of this as like giving an awesome gift. So imagine that someone gave you the amount of crypto you're holding right now. Is that a good amount? Like that, I would be very happy with that. I would quite please. So you can think about like what that would mean to your family, right? If you're giving them this gift. You can also think about it if you like to think about yourself, which is not bad. You can think about doing a security makeover. So when you do inheritance planning, you will actually improve your security. And the reason you'll improve it is because you're going to have to make sure that you have backups for all your wallets. You're going to have to know where all your crypto is, and you're going to have to know where those backups are and have a plan in your head and written down. You're going to have to know where to access that. And so that's going to force you to make decisions on like, oh, that one wallet that I tried out a long time ago that kind of sucks. I wonder if I have anything left on that. Is that thing backed up? Do I really want to keep using this? Maybe I should move those funds and consolidate it. So you're going to be making decisions like that, which is actually going to make you more secure. Finally, this is my favorite one. You can look at it like a time machine mission, right? So, in the event that a time machine is ever invented, you could come back and access your plan if you needed to. Or you could think about leaving, a secret stash for your friends and family. The point is that there's lots of different ways to look at this so that it doesn't suck. You can do this and actually have fun doing it. So where to start? I've written a lot of on Medium and on my website. All of the articles are free. And a couple of them that you might be interested in is a cryptocurrency inventory and a letter to loved ones template. So we're going to start with the template, letter to loved ones, and it literally says, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, when you say a wallet, are you speaking of like a hot wallet or a cold wallet to have it in?
All wallets, wherever you store your Bitcoin. So if you use, for example, a Trezor hardware wallet, and you use a wallet on your phone, Samurai on your phone, you would need to back up both of those, right? And
that's your seed words you're talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So you would start with the letter to loved ones, and the template is like literally word for word what you could write in your letter. It doesn't mean you have to. It's just a starting point for people who are like, I feel like I should do something, but I don't really know how. So here's some language, and you can tailor it for yourself, right? For yourself in your situation. The goal is to explain to them like how to and who to. Who can help them? And how are they going to actually be able to access these assets? These are the important questions. One of the most important and overlooked things is you want to make sure that your heirs keep your keys. What I mean by that is if you pass, you don't want them wiping your phone. You don't want them wiping your computer if you're using that and you have keys on it. Maybe throwing away your hard drive, throwing away your Trezor, throwing away your ledger, or not knowing what it is, or taking it to Goodwill. You don't want any of those things to happen. Primarily not because you're going to use those necessarily to access the assets, but because if someone who knows what they are gets a hold of them, they might be able to sweep the funds before your family can actually sweep the funds. Shockingly, in my experience, usually the most important thing that families are facing is not where your Bitcoin is, okay? Usually it takes about a month to 2 months before families are actually even interested in talking about Bitcoin. So, you want to make sure that in that interim time, they're not wiping devices and getting rid of your opportunity, because if your seed words are lost, the last resort might actually be that device. So from a recovery perspective, I would like to have the option to use either your device or your seed words and be able to access either way, because redundancy is important. So the second tool you can do is a cryptocurrency inventory. And this does not mean you do not put how much cryptocurrency you have, because those numbers change, and people are funny about things that you write down. If you write down that you have half a Bitcoin now, and then you spend half a Bitcoin, if you spend half of that, so 0.25, right? You have 0.25 left in the wallet, your family is not going to understand. You said you have half a Bitcoin. In this letter, in this inventory, it says half a Bitcoin. And then when they come to, your helper, they're going to go, no, it's only a quarter of a Bitcoin. They're going to, oh, you stole from me, right? So I don't really advocate putting amounts in there because I think it's dangerous from an expectation perspective. You also have to remember that your heirs are grieving. They are also not crypto nerds. So they are going to already have kind of a hard time dealing with this stuff. So the more clear and easy you can make it for them, the better, and the more likely it is that they'll actually be able to access your assets. So this cryptocurrency inventory is very simple to use. What do you have and how do you access it? So for example, you can say, on my phone, I have a Samurai wallet and I use BTC. How many of you guys are familiar with Samurai wallet? Oh, very good. For those of you who aren't, Samurai is a single token wallet. It's Bitcoin specific, Bitcoin only, and it's privacy oriented. So it has features, it also has some other cool features like replace by feed, but it has privacy enhancing features that are built into the wallet. So if you're interested in a mobile wallet, I like them. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just have been using their stuff and kind of like it. So you might also want to say, like, I use my laptop and Trezor to access my ETH. I want to talk very briefly about forks because this is a topic that really gets dicey in inheritance planning. If you have a strong feeling about forks, people who are generally privacy-oriented tend to not want forks claimed because of privacy issues, because it requires you to aggregate and then claim. So it's not privacy-friendly. If that is you, please make those wishes known. Please write it either in your letter or in your cryptocurrency inventory. It doesn't mean that you'll prevent them from doing it, but if you are silent on it, they will, whoever is executing this, has a fiduciary duty to your family. They must try and maximize value, meaning that they won't have a choice. They will have to try to go after those forks. So if you don't want that to happen, you need to be very explicit and say, I do not want that to happen. Okay? In the book, so after you do your kind of get it done plan, which is the beginning, you want to look at your plan and do a sure upgrade, which is secure, usable, resilient, and efficient plans. So that's the goal of your plans. So number one, they need to be secure. Usable, this is my favorite one, because it's not usable by you. It's usable by your heirs, okay? You brought up a really great point, right? I was using the word wallet as if we all knew exactly what I meant by wallet, right? I was like, oh, we're at a Bitcoin meetup, wallet, yeah. No, you can't assume that people know, right? You can't assume that they know what a wallet is. You can't assume they know what you mean when you reference wallet. So you need to make sure that your plan is usable by your heirs, or at least by the people who you've identified to help your heirs. Resilient means that you have more than one copy of your backup, right? If something happens if your house floods and you don't have it in a waterproof safe, right? How's your family going to access those seeds? Yeah.
Well, now